Welcome to the end of the book of Job, as we've been walking through a journey of suffering and trusting God. At the end of God's speech with Job, where he reveals himself, he does not give Job an answer, but ends off his grand speech with the tale of the Behemoth and the Leviathan, two great creatures that are not only not under man's control, but dangerous to man. And we wonder, why would God be telling Job of these two mighty beasts, part of his creation, designed by him? How does that add or help ease Job's suffering? I think a big part of it can be because suffering is something often dangerous to us, yet it is under God's control. We cannot control our own suffering. We cannot control the things that cause us to suffer, yet they are there, like the Behemoth and the Leviathan, dangerous to us, yet under God's control. And sometimes we need to trust that the suffering happening to us is under the control of God, and believe that He can work things out. Things that we think are too dangerous for us, too detrimental for our hearts, for our souls, for our minds. God is able to control these things, to lead them where He wants. And that is the beautiful message of Romans 8:28, where God works all things. Now your suffering can be included in this all thing statement for those that are called according to His purpose. If you're a believer, if you love God, even if you sometimes don't feel like it because of your suffering, but you've been called by God for His purposes, having put to death your old life, then even suffering can be used for good to make you more and more like Jesus Christ, which is the goal of every person. That obedience of Jesus, that trust of Jesus, the love of Jesus, despite immense suffering on His side. The reflection of the glory of God. And we want to be able to reflect the glory of God even in our suffering. So trust that the Leviathan and the Behemoth, although they are dangerous to you, although they are not under your control, they are there for a purpose. Your suffering, if left to the control of God, even while you feel like it's out of your control, can be used by Him, can be turned into something purposeful, which Joseph in Genesis ends off and says, what you have intended for evil, God has intended for good. And we might not always catch glimpses of the good on this side of eternity, but the promise still remains. So entrust yourself to God in your suffering.